The Chicago Bears are 9-3 and sit atop the NFC through the first 13 weeks, but people still have a lot of questions about their legitimacy as a contender for very good reason. But I'm here to tell you that they are not a fraudulent team. Based on what they have in the building, in that system, they could be true contenders, so let's dive into why. The Bears have truly been impressive this season, having multiple fourth quarter comeback wins. They're on a 5-game win streak and have won 9 of their last 10 games after starting 0-2. This is all while missing impact players like Jaylon Johnson, Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards, Noah Sewell, and more for a lot of this stretch. That is why a lot of their defensive numbers might not be the best. The top 5 corner and multiple key starters on that side of the ball have missed significant time. How can you expect them to play well without them? Well, they got a couple of those guys back against the Eagles on Black Friday and made the Philly offense look even more pedestrian than it did all season. The thing is, in that game, they were operating with a 1-score lead for majority of the contest, but their defense and run game kept them in it, causing turnovers and dominating the time possession battle 39 minutes to 21. That's a winning formula. It felt like a 2-score game for most of this game. The run game is an aspect of their team that has been excellent this season, and especially in Week 13, having 281 yards and 2 running backs with 125 or more yards and a touchdown on the ground. This is after an offseason where many fans criticized the front office's decision to not address the running back room that had DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson as the top 2 backs. I will say I'm in the camp that if they got Ashton Jeanty, this would be the best rush attack in the NFL by far. But alas, they did not, and they waited until the 7th round to draft Kyle Monangai, and boy oh boy has that worked out. The run scheme Ben Johnson has cooked up is special, and I want to dive into some plays. But before we do, if you want to go higher on either of their running backs' rush yards, attempts, whatever, there's no better place to do it than on Underdog because it's the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. All you have to do is pick higher or lower on 2 to 8 of your favorite players' projections. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. They have a ton of promos every day like Profit Boost, Gimme Picks, discount tokens, whatever. And if you sign up with CoFanatics and play your first $5, you get $100 in bonus funds and a Gimme Pick. Again, that's CoFanatics for $100 in bonus funds and a Gimme Pick when you play your first $5. The first play I want to talk about is this mid-toss where tight end Cole Kmet motions behind the right guard, who then stops. The Bears leave number 97 Moro Ojomo unblocked, but Kmet comes back to slow him down. Now, he wouldn't have been able to stop him one-on-one in a real block, but this dive slows him down. He's unable to make the tackle. Ben Johnson sets this run up like he did so he can get his offensive lineman downfield. As you see with Tooney climbing up to the linebacker, on the right side you have Jalen Carter and Nakobe Dean getting pushed out by the right guard and center. Swift then breaks a tackle, gets shifty, and gets the Bears almost in the red zone. I don't think I've seen motion used in the run game as much as Ben Johnson uses it, and this is an example of it working perfection. Motioning Kmet to get Ojomo, allowing Tooney to move up to Bond, and sealing him to the outside. Explosive for Chicago. This next one is insane on multiple levels. The first thing to do is move Durham Smythe to fullback, which makes the linebackers play tighter in the box. They then motion over Olamide Zaccheaus, which makes the safeties rotate, and Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond shift to the left. What also happened is Ojomo shifted because of the motion, allowing Darnell Wright to have a better angle to downblock him. At the snap, Smythe goes out for a route like you would on a play-action pass, which gets Nakobe Dean to bite down, and Rome Odunze does a great job selling that he's running a route here, acting like he's just trying to pass off Dean to Smythe to get by him, but in reality, it was just solid salesmanship by the receiver. And Cooper DeJean sticks to his blitz that he, I assume, was originally on, towards Caleb Williams, not seeing Swift get the ball. Let's take a look at what happens here. Zach Bond's frozen, Jonah Jackson double teams Jordan Davis for a second, but then climbs up to Quinion Mitchell, taking both out of the play, and the Red Sea is parted, creating a huge hole for DeAndre Swift to have a big gain, breaks Adoree Jackson's tackle, and it's 17 yards for Chicago. This motion in the run game confuses defenses so much, especially when the same look, especially against man coverage like it presumably is in this instance, could be a play-action pass. You have 2 players acting like they're going out for a route instead of blocking traditionally, which just makes it even more confusing for a defense. Now I'll show Kyle Monangai run now because he also had an incredible game. So they motioned DJ Moore into the backfield to set up a little trickery potential for the Bears. They're known to line him up back there on pass plays, so why not try it on run play? Then Cole Kmet motions over and creates an insane strong side of the formation, leaving the weak side edge unblocked, but that was the plan. At the snap, DJ Moore runs over to throw his body in the way of Jalen Phillips. It wasn't like a real block, but he just gets in his way. And look at Darnell right here. He throws Jalen Carter around, taking one of the best run-stuffing interior defensive linemen out of the play, climbs up with him, and continues to block. Big gain for Kyle, an amazing game from him, and I like how at the beginning of this play, when he first gets carry, he basically comes to a complete stop as if he's trying to figure out what to do with the cluster of people on the right side, knowing that he will cut back in and run up the gaping hole created by the blocking and the scheme of this run play, which was created by the motion and Darnell Wright himself, because Darnell Wright has been a monster this year. It's easy to do this when you have 2 very talented backs with different styles, and the number 4 run-blocking offensive line according to PFF grading. The Bears made it their priority to upgrade this O-line, which was horrible in 2024, trading for guards Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson, signing center Drew Dahlman, and drafting tackle Ozzie Trapillo out of Boston College, who has played significant snaps the past 2 games at left tackle. Truly trying to build for the number 1 overall pick, second-year quarterback Caleb Williams, and getting guys who will help Ben Johnson execute his run scheme, which is working to perfection. This helped set up the play-action pass, where Caleb Williams had his only touchdown throw of the day on Black Friday. 13 personnel. They run a play action that doesn't really cause anyone to bite. Rather, they freeze for a second and creates a lot of overcommitment to Caleb and Swift on the rollout to the left. But watch as Caleb keeps running left. As the defense expects him to run or throw to Swift on the flat, Nakobe Dean passes up Cole Kmet to, well, nobody. And as Reed Blankenship came down, DJ Moore ran across him, making it hard for him to get back up to Kmet when he finally realizes that he is just wide open. Kmet cuts outside just a little bit, but he already has way too much separation, and Caleb Williams just throws it up to the perfect spot where Blankenship cannot recover to make a play. Touchdown Bears. When you're running the ball like Chicago was in this game, it's inevitable that a play-action play will break for a big gain or a touchdown, and they were setting it up all game with Monangai and Swift against an elite Eagles front. The defense didn't know what was coming, and the game-sealing score occurred. The Chicago offense is picking it up now, and while Caleb Williams can be inconsistent at times, for example in this game only completing 17 of his 36 attempts with no drops, but coaching and the run game can pick up for his and the receivers' slack when needed. Caleb Williams has been good this year, but we all know he sometimes has accuracy issues, but he's the best quarterback at evading sacks. He's very mobile and can run as well, and when he's on, but sometimes he's just inconsistent, and we all have to accept that. But one thing you need to complement this type of offense that's dominating on the ground and the play-action pass is defense that can create turnovers. The Bears have created the most turnovers in the league this season, led by ball-hawking safety Kevin Byard, who leads the NFL with 6 interceptions, and he got one on Black Friday. Looks like a cover 1 for the Bears that starts off with 2 high safeties. As it gets closer to the snap, the other safety comes down. Quick play action, but Jalen Hurts faces pressure almost immediately, causing him to roll right. As he's rolling right, AJ Brown is doing exactly what any receiver should do, and that's try to help his quarterback because he wasn't open at first. Neither was Darius Cooper, the other receiver on that side. Now, he wasn't necessarily open at the end of this route, but he's the type of guy you give a chance to one-on-one in any scenario, especially this. But watch Kevin Byard. At first, he's following Devontae Smith, but when he sees Hurts roll out, he knows Smith is out of the play, so he starts to run over to the right side of the field and on a beeline to AJ Brown. Hurts just throws it up, and Kevin Byard covers so much field and is able to make the diving interception. Now, did this play result in nothing for the Bears? The Eagles would then go on to score? Sure, but the precedent stands that complementary football is the recipe to winning in the NFL. We see so many teams have great offenses but horrible defense, like the Cincinnati Bengals, or vice versa, like the Cleveland Browns, and they cannot win games consistently. Yes, I know Joe Burrow was hurt, but with a healthy Burrow last year, they missed the playoffs, and the team is basically no different in terms of the situation they are in. But Chicago, they have it all. A good offense led by a mastermind and psychopath in Ben Johnson, with a now healthy defense that forces a ton of turnovers to set their offense in great position to take over the game. Now that they are healthy, which is rare to see later in the season, usually it's the other way around, hurt later in, healthy earlier on, I don't see them having to overcome double-digit leads to teams like the Giants in the fourth quarter, but they do have a tough test this week with the Green Bay Packers in a crucial division game. If the Bears can go into Lambeau and pull off the upset, they're 6.5-point dogs, they will still be atop the North, and hold the 1 seed in the NFC with just 4 games to go.